DawnDares2Dream, I like to inspire and motivate adults to dream again. Because as we go through life and take on our different roles and responsibilities, we tend to put our dreams on the back burner. And my goal here at DawnDares2Dream is to help you pick those dreams back up and to pursue them again. Now, I want you to understand, I started DawnDares2Dream because I wanted to relay my message and my heart and my feelings across to whomever would listen. It can be difficult getting your closest family and friends to understand the way that you believe and when you try to express it and share it. So this was like my backdoor way into letting everybody know. Now, I may have lost some viewers as a result of that because they don't agree, and that's fine. I am definitely a proponent of everyone having their own thoughts, their own process, their own mindset that works for them. Your religion works for you, you keep that. No one's telling you to get rid of that. Whatever it is that works for you, continue to use it. I'm just saying that sprinkle some of this other information on it, this personal development information that I'm providing you, and see where your life takes you and how you take off personally. Always remember, we are in control of how we see our environment. I don't care what everyone says it looks like or everyone says it is. We are in control of how we choose to perceive the environment. Hey dreamers, welcome back. And thank you to all the new dreamers who stopped by DawnDares2Dream today to see what we're all about. Well, I am here to remind you we are still doing our YouTube promo. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I need you to click on that red rectangular button down there and subscribe. And I will reward you with the workbook or action guide of your choosing. All you need to do is click the shop button so that you can see what the different workbooks are. And then let me know which one you want. But first, send me a screen capture of your subscription. And today we are still on the series Taking Responsibility for Our Lives, and today we're going to talk a little bit about taking responsibility or owning our part in all situations and in all things. And when I say own our part in all situations, I mean like at work, at home, in your social life. We need to own our part in everything that we do, whether the outcome is good or bad. But remember, there's really no positive and negative. Everything just is. But are the terms that we think of things in. No matter what the outcome, we have to figure out, what do we own in this situation? What can I own so that I can grow from the situation that has just occurred, whether positive or negative, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started with an example that really has nothing to do with me. It wasn't my fault at all what had occurred. So I went to Greece about 3 years ago, had a great time, fantabulous time, haven't been back, want to go back. It was so nice, it was so romantic, and I went with my sister-in-law, so it wasn't as romantic as a trip as it could have been if I was, with my partner. So what I would like to do, the next time I go, I want to take my partner with me. Haven't met him yet, don't know where he is, but when I meet him, I would love to take him to Greece with me. So this is how it goes. So the trip went very, very well, but then on the way out, when we get our connecting flight in Munich, I believe, there's some kind of bomb scare. So they get us all off of our planes and they usher us all around the airport until we come back to the international terminal that we left. And along the way, as they're shuffling us around, I'm just believing that the planes are still there because I kept asking, the flight attendants at the desk and everything kept asking, and they kept looking at the computer, and it kept saying that our flight was still on schedule. Now, what you have to understand is we actually boarded the plane and had to get off of the plane because of the bomb scare. So because I boarded the plane, I had taken my medicine that, puts me to sleep. Yeah, I had taken it because I figured this was the last leg to the United States, so I could sleep on this flight. So as they're ushering us around the airport and everything, I am very drowsy. I am very tired. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Me and my sister-in-law are on 2 different flights because we live in 2 different parts of the U.S. So we didn't even fly out together. Do you understand? So I'm going through this. She's going through the same thing, but her experience is different than mine. So to make a long story short, we end up standing in a line. Well, I end up standing in a line for like 8 hours. Yes, 8 hours, because when we got back to the terminal, the plane had taken off. So they had all the planes take off. All of our luggage went to where the destinations they were supposed to go. They just didn't take us because I guess the schedules had to keep running, and there was no way for us to get on the plane without delaying it. And I guess they couldn't delay it with all the air traffic that comes in the Munich airport. So I'm like, okay. So I stand in this line for about, I'm in line for about 2 to 3 hours. And this gentleman says to me, you're a U.S. citizen. This is Germany. You don't need a visa. You can actually exit and go to the front of the airport and go ahead and handle whatever you need to as far as changing your flight or whatever you need to do. You can do it at the front. He did not work at the airport though. And I don't know why I didn't think of it, but I didn't even think to ask anyone. But the catch was I was in this line by myself with all these people I don't know and don't trust. So I didn't want to get out of line and lose my spot after I had been in line for 2 to 3 hours. So I actually ended up being in that line for 8 hours, only to get to the front of the line, and there are no more flights out today. So they were giving us flights for the next day. Catch is, they were giving everybody flights for the next day, but everybody couldn't make those flights because those flights were filling up. So again, they are like overbooking us and not really telling us, because I guess they don't want to see a whole gang of people really, really upset. So I'm like, okay. So I got a voucher to stay in a hotel. The catch is that voucher was for like $100. I could have just paid for the hotel and not waited in line for 8 hours. So what I'm trying to tell you, the responsibility that I take, or the ownership that I take in that situation, was when that gentleman said that to me, I could have checked into it, because what difference did it make? I was in line for 8 hours anyway, you know, the line was very stressful, and I made it through. I hadn't had any rest because I didn't sleep because of how the flight was. I figured I'd sleep on a plane because I have issues sleeping, remember? So it's very interesting. You know what I learned and how I grew from that situation? I know if I go to Europe again and I have a connected flight, that I am probably going to spend a day or two in the city that I have my connecting flight in. So if I need to get a visa, then I'll do that in advance. But I don't know if I want to sit in an airport again like that because of something happening. You know, at least I will have rested at this point if something goes awry the next time. I had a coworker even tell me that when she flies internationally, lots of times they'll ship their bags ahead of time, so that way they don't have to worry about having bags. I had a backpack on that day, and it had some essentials in it, which I'm really glad that I always take a backpack. Everywhere I go, when I'm on a plane, I take a backpack with a few things, some clothes, and just a little bit of things just in case something happens. That is why I carry it. And in this case, I actually needed that backpack. But so I learned that I probably need to stay overnight. I also learned that if something is going awry in the airport, maybe I don't want to just talk to the people who are right in the midst of what's going on. Maybe going to the front, if I can, will be more helpful for me. I also learned that I'm stronger than what I thought, because I was very irritated. It was very exhausting to stand in line that way, but I made it through. So I was just proud of myself for the patience that I displayed, because people who know me personally would think that I wouldn't have that type of patience. But this is what I will tell you. I was in a foreign country by myself. I knew that I needed to have on my best behavior, because I didn't need to be carted off anywhere because I got too upset or unruly, per se, according to their standards or their rules. And I don't know what their standards and rules are in Germany. So I just made sure that I stayed to myself, kept my backpack on my back, and kept my mouth shut. I didn't even really talk to people, because there was a lot of animosity in the air, because everybody was kind of upset and uneasy about having to stand in this line to see if you're going to get another ticket out. So I wanted to make sure that the energy that I was putting out wasn't too, it didn't have a lot of anxiety attached to it. It wasn't, I just wanted to make sure that I was calm, you know, and so I didn't do a lot of chit chat, because I didn't want to engage in anybody else's excitable energy. So like I said, I learned that I can hold my composure when something and everything else, all hell is breaking loose around me. I learned what not to do the next time I travel internationally. I'll probably, like I said, stay overnight. But the one positive I got out of it, which was instantaneous, I went to the hotel. and I had a beer, and I've always wanted to have beer in Germany. I know that's really simple, right? But I created that. Look, I got stuck in Germany. I had beer in Germany. I mean, I've always thought about having beer in Germany. I've thought about going to Oktoberfest. Haven't done anything like that. And all this comes from, I took German when I was in middle school and high school. Don't know that much, like wie geht's, es geht mir gut, that kind of thing. Ich heiße Dawn. That's about all I know. So anyway, I loved, I love what I learned about the German culture, I'm going to say. So I just wanted to go have some beer. And I had beer, and I talked to a gentleman. I think he was from Norway. We had a really good time, just like I would talk to anybody that I meet here at home when I, hang out. So I had a really good time. But that's what I got out of it. That was the positivity. And that's what I try to focus on when I think of that memory. Think about the vacation and what I learned, but not dwelling in the experience. But you see how I took responsibility the way that I could. I took ownership in that situation where I actually learned what I could do better next time. I'm going to give you another example, but this example, I was actually flying in the US. In June, I went to Cancun with my cousin to celebrate her birthday. And on the way back, it was storming in Fort Myers. Now, I had a connecting flight. Originally, I did not have a connecting flight. I had a straight through flight, and the airline changed my flight. So when we went to go to Fort Lauderdale, it was storming. And so our plane did not have enough fuel to hover, for about 30 minutes to an hour before we could land. So we actually flew over to Fort Myers, gassed up, and then came back. But this caused it to be a lot of anxious energy, in the plane, because when we got to Fort Myers, people have to go to the bathroom. They can't go to the bathroom. People, they're thirsty, so now they want something to drink, but the flight attendants aren't really serving us at this point because the door is open, and then it was like someone from that airport was standing at the door, so nobody, I guess, could go out, and it was just a lot of anxious energy. And I was sitting in the front of the plane, so I get to see all of this and feel all of this. And the people in the back don't really know what's going on because they can't hear. I knew what was going on because I was sitting in the front and I could hear what they were saying. We're trying to get the sign off to say that we can leave it, because all it looked like was we were just sitting. And the more we just sat, you could tell the more irritated people got, the more people stood up. And so it just was, very interesting energy on the plane. So needless to say, I said, okay, you know what I learned from that? And I have two things I've learned from this flight. What I learned from that flight is I like straight flights. So if they change the straight flight that I have, then I need to go find another straight flight, a non-stop flight. Because I'd rather do customs at home if I can. I'd rather do customs here in Houston. I'm used to it. I'd rather do it. I don't want to do it somewhere else because I had a very crazy time in customs when I was in Fort Lauderdale, and I was like, I cannot come back here. And people were just kind of rude and mean, and I just figured they were just exhausted. I mean, they had a lot of issues that day with planes and a lot of international planes flying in and having already been sat in the air. So all the energy everywhere was crazy. I kept saying, what is going on today in the universe? Because this is a crazy day. But anyway, so I survived that, and I had an angel with me because I was asking questions of the actual customs agent, and she was rude and didn't want to answer my questions, and basically told me, well, if you don't have it on your boarding pass, then you don't have it. And she was just kind of nasty, And so as I'm talking to her, my angel starts to rub my back. I don't know this lady. We were on the same flight. She sat across from me, and what she saw that was I was very polite. I was very nice. I was letting people go in front of me when I didn't have to. So she knew that I didn't have this nature of trying to be antagonistic, I'm going to say. But I really was just confused as to why she just couldn't answer my question. So she just rubbed my back when she saw that I was getting irritated. And to be honest with you, it really calmed me down. And then she whispered in my ear and said, we don't want to get too agitated with the customs agent. She said, because you don't want them to take you away somewhere. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think of that. And that is why the attitude is what it is, because they have the power, because they're the customs agent and you have been out of the country and you're trying to get back in. So they don't have to be nice to you. And they probably deal with so many different people, so many attitudes, traveling internationally. You've been on a plane longer and you're just ready to come home, and to encounter that. But, I had an angel, and I always have an angel always everywhere I am. If there's anything going on or anything that might be a little awry, I'm always sent an angel to be there with me, because most of the time when I'm out, I'm by myself. So sometimes you need support, and I am very grateful for all the angels in my life. The last example that I'm going to share is, the relationship with my son's dad. I've talked about this relationship before, but I don't know if I've talked about it from a viewpoint of me taking ownership of the success or failure of the relationship. Because to be honest, I was kind of ready to go from the relationship. No matter what, I didn't leave him per se, but I was ready to go. So when he was ready to end it, it worked for me because I was ready to go. I just didn't want to be the one who ended it. Now, I look back on that, and I look back on who I was in that relationship, and I'm very grateful for everything that he did and provided for me and the opportunity that he provided. But at the end of the day, you know how people say we weren't equally yoked. We weren't on the same page. Law of attraction, manifesting, that was not anything that he was into. I'm not even sure if he had even heard of it. So I don't know how I could have created the life of my dreams with a person who doesn't understand that we create our life. He kind of feels like things happen to him. And that's not the truth. Things don't just happen to us. We are living this life, and we are creating this life, and what's in our mind is coming out. So we have to take ownership of our situations so that as life is happening, we can stop and go, wait a minute, how am I attracting this? What am I doing? What have I done? What's going on in my past that's making me attract this? Because there's a reason why you're attracting it. Do you understand where I'm coming from? You got to take that moment to understand the role that you're playing. Now, the things you've been through in the past impact your present, right? I talked about that, I think, in the success series. But they impact your present, but you can choose how they impact it. So right now, it could be impacting your present negatively, but if you learn from what you've done in the past, what you've been through, then you can change how you behave, and you can change your environment in the present and continuing into the future. But that's only if you take that ownership, understand the role that you play, learn from it so you never repeat it. So with my son's dad, what I learned was I came into that relationship giving a whole lot of myself, okay? Being extra available to him. Then I had a child. After 2 years of us being together, I had a child, and all my energy went to my child and none went to him. And it disturbed the balance of the relationship. And I do know that in general, now I know, I didn't know before, when you have children, it does change the nature of your relationship. But if your relationship isn't built on a solid ground, it can just break completely apart. And that's what happened to us. And I knew that I would get better and I would learn how to tend to both the men in my life, my son and him. But at the time, I couldn't do it. And I wasn't going to attempt to do something that I just felt I did not have the energy to do so. But what I learned is I cannot go into relationships, because I do this not just in male-female relationships, but in my friendships, my platonic friendships with people. I can have a tendency to do too much and go overboard or offer too much. And I've learned, and I'm probably saying the last 5 years I haven't been that person anymore, but I used to give too much. And then people expect that of you, but they aren't returning that. So you got to preserve that goodness, that energy, that positive energy that you have. You need to preserve it and use it when necessary, but don't just be giving it away all over the place, because then what do you have left? And then when you need someone to pour into you, where are they? All the people have taken the energy, and they've run off, and no one's giving back to you. So you have to be very cautious of that if you are a very giving, loving, caring individual. And always remember that we ultimately play a role in every situation that happens in our lives, even the ones that look like they are out of our control. We should step back and see when it's done. Well, what did I do? What could I have done differently? Okay, and what did I learn? And what will I definitely implement next time? If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Also remember that there's a comment button down below. Leave me a comment with any questions that you may have. There's a share button with an arrow. Share this video to your social media platform like Facebook. My face is going to be up here in a circle, so I need you to click on my face, select the gray bell, select all. That way you'll be subscribed to my channel, and you'll be notified to all the new content that I place up here to YouTube. And don't forget, send me that screen capture so that you can get your free workbook or action guide. And over here, I'm going to have the actual series for this series, which is Taking Responsibility for Your Life. And I'm also going to have the Understanding the Universal Laws series up here as well. So I've had a great time talking to my dreamers. Have a great day, dreamers.